Welcome, everyone. Ready to dive deep today. We're tackling something pretty fascinating, the psychology of money. Not just the numbers, but like how our thinking about money actually shapes our financial success.
Sounds intriguing.
Yeah. And to guide us, we've got Morgan Housel's book, The Psychology of Money. It's packed with, real-life stories, those aha moments.
I've heard great things about that book.
Oh, it's fantastic. And one of the first things Housel does is he reminds us that, we all have a unique money story, right? Like no two perspectives are the same. Because our experiences, good or bad, really leave a mark on how we view things like wealth, risk, even just spending.
That makes a lot of sense. Our background really shapes our financial outlook. Like, if you grew up watching your family struggle, you might be really cautious, even when you're doing well yourself.
Yeah, for sure. But someone who's, always known prosperity, they might be much bolder with investments. They have a totally different view of risk.
Exactly. And that leads us to one of those aha moments Housel's is known for, that inseparable link between luck and risk. He argues you can't really have one without the other.
It's true. He uses the example of Bill Gates, right? Having access to a computer in high school back in the 60s, which was unheard of. That lucky break played a huge role in, well, everything that followed.
It makes you think, what were those random events in your own life that shaped your financial path?
Totally. That chance encounter, that mentor, that lucky investment, we don't always recognize the role of chance.
It's humbling to realize that as much as we plan, there's this element of fortune that's just outside our control.
Absolutely. But acknowledging luck doesn't diminish hard work. It just adds like another layer to understanding success, right?
For sure.
And speaking of things we can't always control, Housel really stresses that we can control our reactions, especially when it comes to greed. He brings up Bernie Madoff.
A classic cautionary tale.
Yeah, incredibly wealthy already, but orchestrated that massive Ponzi scheme. It's a stark reminder that for some people, no amount of money is ever enough.
Greed can be blinding. Madoff's story is a perfect example of how it can lead to ruin.
And it highlights the importance of being content with what you have, knowing when you have enough.
Couldn't agree more. And that actually ties into another key theme in the book, the power of compounding.
Compounding. This is where things get exciting. Housel uses Warren Buffett's success to illustrate this, right? It's not just about making great investments, it's about letting those gains grow over decades.
That's the key. Small, consistent returns, reinvested over time. It creates this incredible snowball effect.
Exactly. It leads to extraordinary wealth. It's the power of patience. Think about it. If you invested just $10 a day from age 20,
by 60, you could be looking at $1 million.
$1 million, just from those small, consistent contributions. That's compounding at work.
Amazing, isn't it? And House makes a really interesting distinction. Getting rich, which often involves risk and luck,
versus staying rich, which demands a whole other skill set.
Right. We all hear those stories about lottery winners or athletes going broke. It's like there's a whole other education needed on how to handle that sudden wealth.
Yeah. Taking risks is how you might make money, but preserving it, that takes discipline and, really smart financial habit.
Absolutely. Speaking of risk, Housel uses the example of Amazon. Even the most successful companies have their share of failures.
Right. Like before AWS, Bezos had several ventures that flopped.
Exactly. But he kept going and eventually hit on that big win.
It's a good reminder, that setbacks are part of the process. And persistence, even when you face failure, can lead to those huge wins.
And often it just takes a few big wins to overshadow a lot of smaller losses.
So true. Which leads to a bigger question, right? What are we really after with financial success? Is it all about building an empire like Amazon or
is there something deeper we're seeking?
Yeah. Housel argues that the ultimate wealth is about controlling your time. He contrasts like a high-powered CEO, stressed out all the time, with someone earning less, but having the flexibility to set their own schedule.
It's a powerful comparison. It makes you think about your priorities, doesn't it?
Right.
Are we trading our time and well-being for a bigger paycheck?
Or are we choosing a life with more control over our days?
Yeah.
A really personal question.
It is, but it forces us to think about those trade-offs, which are so important.
Definitely. And it brings to mind something Housel calls the man-in-the-car paradox.
Oh, tell me about that one.
It's like, you ever notice how people buy luxury cars to impress others? But like most people don't even notice. He uses the Lamborghini example. You buy it thinking you'll turn heads, but everyone's probably just thinking about how they'd look in the car, not you.
It's so true. We often link material possessions with wealth.
Yeah, but those things rarely bring lasting happiness.
Exactly. True wealth is often invisible, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It's about financial security, options, and the freedom to live on your own terms.
Not about flashing those status symbols.
So you might be wealthier than someone with all the fancy clothes if you have that solid financial foundation and peace of mind.
It's about building that security, not just keeping up appearances. And a huge part of that comes down to saving.
Saving might not be glamorous.
But it's essential. Housel uses a simple example. Two people, same income, but one saves more. In the long run, they'll be significantly wealthier. It's that consistent, disciplined saving, even if it's just a little bit at a time.
It makes a huge difference over time. And it reminds me at another point Housel makes, it's not always about making the most mathematically optimal financial decision.
Right. Sometimes it's more about what feels right for you, what's reasonable.
Exactly. He gives the example of paying off a low-interest mortgage early. Logically, you might invest that money elsewhere and get a higher return. But for some, that peace of mind of being debt-free, that's priceless.
I can see that. Peace of mind can be worth more than a few extra percentage points on your return.
It's about finding that balance, right? The rational and emotional aspects of money. Our emotions play a huge role in our financial decisions.
No doubt about it. And those emotions are really tested when we face the unpredictable nature of life. Like Housel brings up the 2008 financial crisis.
Oh yeah, that was a tough one.
A reminder that even the experts can't foresee every twist and turn.
For sure, which is why he emphasizes having a margin of safety in your financial plan.
That buffer for the unexpected, life throws those curveballs, you got to be prepared.
Makes sense. It's like if you need $1 million to retire comfortably, aim for 1.2 million. Have that cushion.
Exactly. But it's not just about planning for the unexpected. We need to remember that we change too, right? What we prioritize at 25 is different at 55.
Oh yeah, big time. Our goals evolve, and so should our financial plans. Someone in their 20s might prioritize saving aggressively for growth.
While someone nearing retirement might focus on preserving capital, generating income, it's all about adapting, meeting your needs at that moment.
It's like a constant check-in, right? Making sure your plan aligns with what you want to achieve. But Housel also brings in some reality. Financial success, even when you reach it, has its own challenges.
It's not all sunshine and roses.
Right. There's no such thing as a free lunch. You have to navigate market downturns, economic uncertainty, the stress that comes with it all. It's important to be realistic about those potential downsides. Building wealth takes work, and it often means going through those periods of uncertainty and stress.
You have to be prepared for the ride.
But that doesn't mean there's just one right path. Housel stresses that there's no one-size-fits-all approach to money. What works for someone retiring and investing in bonds is totally different for a young entrepreneur putting money into startups.
Exactly. Every journey is unique. What matters is finding what aligns with your goals, risk tolerance, and values. Your own personal path.
It's about finding the strategy that feels right for you, not blindly following someone else's playbook.
It's about taking ownership of your financial journey. And as we do that, we have to be aware of what Housel calls the seduction of pessimism.
Oh, the negativity bias. That's a tough one to shake.
It's our tendency to give more weight to the negative, to believe those worst-case scenarios more readily. We see it all the time, right? Market crash headlines spread like wildfire. Steady growth news gets buried.
Our brains seem wired to focus on those potential threats.
It's true. And that negativity can lead to some really impulsive financial decisions based on fear, not clear thinking.
Which brings us to, of course, the allure of those get-rich-quick schemes.
Ah, yes, the promise of overnight riches.
Howells argues that we fall for those because we crave easy answers. We want those shortcuts. But building wealth takes time, patience, and discipline.
There's no magic formula.
Nope. So what does Housel recommend?
He advocates for simple, time-tested strategies, investing in index funds, living below your means.
Makes sense. Slow and steady wins the race.
Exactly. And to wrap up this part of our dive, Housel reminds us of that incredible potential of compounding. Remember that example. Investing just $10 a day from age 20 to 60.
Yeah, leading to potentially becoming a millionaire.
Exactly. Small steps, consistently over time, lead to amazing results. But as we've been talking about, it's not just about the numbers, right?
It's about our behavior, our mindset.
Housel's point is that true wealth is more about behavior than just pure intelligence. It's about understanding your own psychology and making choices that align with your values and goals. So, as we move on to the next part of our deep dive,
keep that in mind. What's one small change you can make today to improve your relationship with money?
Even a tiny step in the right direction can have a ripple effect over time.
That's what this is all about, right? Taking control and shaping our financial future one step at a time.
Absolutely. And remember, you don't have to figure it all out at once. It's a process of learning and adapting.
That's the beauty of it. We're all on this journey together.
And speaking of learning, one of the most valuable things from the book is, understanding our own biases.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to financial decisions.
Yeah, like that seduction of pessimism we were talking about earlier. So easy to get caught up in the negative, right? When we're bombarded with all the news about market crashes and, economic downturns.
But Housel reminds us that those negative events, they don't always reflect the bigger picture, even though they grab our attention.
It's like focusing on the potholes when you're driving instead of enjoying the scenic view.
It is. We need to be able to zoom out and see those long-term trends, not get fixated on those, short-term blips.
And that ties into his whole point about patience, right? Building wealth is a marathon, not a sprint. You need that endurance.
Exactly. Just like a runner needs endurance, a successful investor needs patience to ride out all the ups and downs.
Oh.
Because they're gonna happen.
You got to trust the process. Stick to your plan, even when things get, a little bumpy.
And avoid those get-rich-quick schemes, right? Those promises of instant success.
They prey on that desire for instant gratification. But the reality is, it takes time and effort, consistent effort.
No shortcuts. Housel really emphasizes that slow and steady approach. Saving consistently, investing wisely, letting that compound growth work its magic.
He compares it to like planting a seed. You nurture it over time. You don't expect a tree to grow overnight.
Right. It takes time, care, patience to cultivate that strong financial foundation.
And just like a tree needs, good soil and sunlight, our financial well-being depends on making informed choices, building those healthy habits.
Good analogy. So, as we reflect on the insights from The Psychology of Money, it's clear it's not just about finances. It's about understanding ourselves.
It's about recognizing our own biases, those tendencies towards greed or fear, how we relate to money individually.
Because by understanding those psychological factors, we can make more, conscious, deliberate choices that lead to true financial well-being.
Creating a financial life that matches our values, our goals.
Exactly, our vision for the future. And to wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to share a final thought from Morgan Housel. The hardest financial skill is getting the goalpost to stop moving.
Ooh, that's a good one. I like that.
It's a powerful reminder that contentment comes from defining what really matters to us and aligning our financial choices with those values.
Not from constantly chasing more, more, more.
Right. And with that, we hope you've gained some good insights into the psychology of money and how it can impact your own journey.
Yeah, it's so easy to fall into that trap, right? Like keeping up with the Joneses, always wanting the next big thing.
It's a never-ending cycle. And as Housel puts it, getting that goalpost to stop moving, that's crucial for finding any kind of financial peace.
Because if we're always chasing some, ever-shifting definition of success, we'll never feel content.
It's like running on a treadmill, right? You're working hard, but you're not actually going anywhere. So how do we get off that treadmill? Find some, solid ground.
Yeah, how do we do that?
I think it starts with defining what success actually means to you. Not what society tells you, not what your neighbors are doing, but what truly matters to you.
It's about figuring out your own definition.
Right. Maybe it's financial security so you can spend more time with family, or maybe it's pursuing your passions without worrying about the paycheck. Whatever it is, you got to identify those core values and let them guide your choices.
Let them be your compass.
Exactly. And once you have that clear vision, of what you're working towards, it's easier to resist those tempting things that ultimately don't matter.
Like that fancy car or expensive handbag, that promise to make you feel successful, but it's just fleeting.
Right. You can focus on building a life that truly aligns with what you care about, something that brings lasting fulfillment.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the psychology of money, I hope you've gained some valuable insights, not just about managing your money, but your whole relationship with it.
It's about understanding the psychological factors at play, the things that drive our financial decisions, good and bad.
Recognizing that, hey, we're all human, we make mistakes, but
we can empower ourselves, make more informed choices, and create a brighter financial future.
And it's never too late to start.
Never too late. Whether you're just starting out or well on your way, the principles from the book, they can help you create a more fulfilling, financially secure life.
It's all about taking those steps. Thanks for joining us today, everyone. We hope you found this deep dive insightful and empowering.
And until next time, Keep learning, keep growing, and keep exploring this fascinating world of personal finance.